Good morning. Welcome, all of you, on Thursday, 5th week of Easter. Let's listen to the passage from the Gospel. From the Gospel according to John. Jesus said to his disciples, "As the Father has loved me, so I have loved you. Remain in my love. If you keep my commandments, you will remain in my love, just as I have kept my Father's commandments and remain in his love. I have told you this, so that my own joy may be in you and your joy be complete." The Gospel of the Lord. That is a continuation of the passage we had yesterday, chapter 15. Yesterday we were speaking about the pruning, about this process as a lifelong process, something what is constantly, is this purification, this pruning as being clean and as removing the things what are an obstacle for me to bear fruit. And it's important to add it that not necessary it is something or evil or no, sometimes good things, but they are just an obstacle, just on the way to fulfill the will of the Father, or to bring more the fruits more abundantly. Because if I divide my attention, my strength, a little here, a little there, then of course, even in our earthly tasks, if I do too many things, then I cannot dedicate my heart to the one most important. And just coming back to yesterday passage we had, that Jesus Christ comes to fulfill the will of the Father, that he's not doing anything from his own accord, but it is fulfilling the will of the Father, which is very important to the obedience, to be faithful, to, when we listen, to fulfill this in due time. So it's not only to do the things what we are asked to do, but also to do it when we are asked to do it. Today we have a continuation, as I said, of this passage, speaking about remaining in the love of the Father. Here is a very interesting thing. If we go back to the first chapter of Gospel of John, we will find a description of the call of his first disciples. Those who were, there was John the Baptist, there were some followers of John, and John will point towards Jesus Christ. Look, there is the Lamb of God, and some of his followers will start following Jesus Christ. The next day, as John stood there with two of his disciples, Jesus went past, and John looked towards him and said, "Look, there is the Lamb of God." And the two disciples heard what he said and followed Jesus. Jesus turned round, saw them following, and said, "What do you want?" They answered, "Rabbi," which means teacher, "where do you live?" Jesus replied, "Come and see." So they went and saw where he lived and stayed with him that day. So it is a beautiful passage in the beginning of the Gospel of John. I mean, the first words which are put in the mouth of Jesus in the Gospel of John. What do you want? What is your desire? So it is very important, of course, for each one of us to know, to ask this question, what I really want from my life, in my life. And there's the question of the disciples: teacher, where do you live? And most probably when we hear this question, we kind of think, I mean, where did Jesus Christ, I mean, have his home? That he was, I mean, renting something, or he was staying with friends? He has his own place. We think about a building, and of course, Gospel of John is not speaking about this. Gospel of John speak what gives you life. I mean, this word there. I mean, this where are you remaining? Where are you staying? Where are you staying when you're remaining? Which is the same words through all the gospel and all the places when Jesus say, "Remain in my love, as I remain in His love, Father's love." As I keep the commandments, it's many times it's the same word, to remain in something. So the question posed in the beginning of the gospel now have the answer, that you remain in my love, as I remain in the love of my Father. So what was bringing life to Jesus, what was nourishing him, what made him to rest, to remain in, was the will of the Father. The will of the Father. To be in his love, to fulfill his commandments, to fulfill what he asked him to do. And that is bringing joy. That this being, I mean, connected, remaining in this connection, remaining in the Father, as we are all called to remain in the love of Jesus Christ, does bring really satisfaction. And then that doesn't matter the secondary thing, where we have our homes as a building, in that country, another country, if it's big or if it's small. If I'm connected, if I'm doing the will of the Father, that is the most important. That will be the place where I rest. That will be the place where I will find satisfaction. So this is this question, what was posed in the beginning of the gospel. Through all these things, Jesus Christ is preparing us, and in these chapters here, in this passage, he's answering that question. Imagine that somehow, looking at this passage from the beginning, that somehow living in the will of the Father was attractive, because when the disciples responded to this invitation, come and see, they stay with Jesus. They continue to follow him. And even after a moment of difficulties to understand him, some people, left. They stopped following Jesus, and they remain with him. They remain. So there will be difficulties. There will be a moment of misunderstanding. In the Gospel of John is all the time that the disciples didn't understand, or the followers didn't understand what Jesus meant. Jesus is coming again to explain something, but to remain in his love, to continue to be with him, to be nourished by his word, because that is the way to this happiness, what we are longing for, to fulfill this desire which is in our hearts. Remain in my love, and let your joy be complete. Have a great day. May God bless you.